Welcome to the Wednesday Restaurant Growth Webinar. Every Wednesday we get together, we talk about a high-level framework theory, give you some tools, some training, a little bit of coaching to break free from where you are to where you want to be. That being said, of course, all business problems are people problems. And I can tell you with 100% certainty, those people problems are usually communication problems. Now, this is your first time on the webinar with me and Luke. Let's go over the ground rules real quick. Number one, have some fun. Number two, take notes. Research has shown if you write stuff down in your own handwriting, you are 70% more likely to remember the information 30 days. And number three, and this is the most important one, take action. If you don't apply what you've learned, you haven't really learned anything. Remember, knowledge is not power. I know all these like gurus say, oh, knowledge is power. No, it's not. Application of knowledge is power. And then every once in a while during my presentations, you're going to hear me say those magic words, hashtag WTSD. What does hashtag WTSD mean? It means write this shit down. That's the gold nuggets. That's the things I want you to make sure you take away from here. Right. If we've never met before, I am Donald Burns. I am the restaurant coach. I always say I'm a recovering restaurant owner. I'm a consultant. I've consulted with huge billion-dollar food brands, Shamrock Foods, US Foods, Cisco Foods, Benny Keith, Performance Food Groups, you name it. I've consulted with them. I'm also a chef. I was a chef when I had my own restaurant. After I sold my restaurants, I was actually a chef with Wolfgang Puck for a number of years. I'm also an author, most well-known for the Your Restaurant Sucks trilogy. Savage Restaurant Success came out last year. And then next month, it's a few days away, is my new book, Ingredients, is coming out. It's going to be fantastic. You're going to love it. And then I'm also a restaurant investor, and I'm a former member of the U.S. Air Force pararescue teams. Now, when I opened my very first restaurant, I did like a lot of restaurant owners did. I apprenticed with my father in high school, started at 15, washing dishes, worked my way up to brigade. When I was 18, he told me it's in my blood. I said I wanted a transfusion, so I went into the Air Force, got into pararescue, got out, went to college, could get jobs in college because I had experience in high school. And then an amazing thing happened. I found out I really loved the restaurant business. So I started working with the right chefs, right places. And at 30, I had the opportunity to open my first restaurant. And I will tell you that up until then, I had probably, roughly around 15 years of experience running a restaurant. I thought at the time that's all you needed to be successful. You just know how to run a restaurant. I mean, how hard could it be? Well, actually, it was very hard. This is actually, these pictures are my first restaurant. That's me in the middle. I was a lot younger then. And I will tell you that I did everything I could as far as trying to fix this thing using the tools I had. And I always just find like sometimes working your restaurant is like being thrown in quicksand. And what happens when you get thrown in quicksand? You fight, you struggle, you kick and scream. And sadly, when you're in quicksand, the more you fight, the faster you sink. Well, that was me. And I just thought I could outwork the problems. Hashtag write this down. There are some problems you just can't outwork. I was very, very fortunate that a local businessman who was a regular at my restaurant, sat me down one night and he asked me one simple question. He said, Donald, if I gave you a 3-digit lock and said, open a lock, could you open it? I said, probably not without the combination of restaurant success. He goes, exactly. He says, but what if I give you the combination of restaurant success? What if I told you the exact combination and I told you the order in which everything goes in? I said, that would be awesome. I would love that. And he said, well, then, you could open the restaurant gates whenever you want to. And so he basically took a napkin. It was a Bev napkin on the table. He took the Bev napkin on the table and he wrote down 3 words. He wrote down people, product, process. I will tell you now that the 3P framework didn't just save my restaurant, it saved my life because I was on a one-way path, one-way ticket to burning myself out. I was eating junk food. I was suppressing the depression with alcohol and pills. I was avoiding my family. I was distant. I was distant from my kids. I was arguing with my wife. It was a nightmare. I do not want anyone to ever participate in. And that 3P framework saved everything. Here's the thing. It's always people, then product, and then process. It's like having a combination. If I told you the combination is 3, 2, 1, but you keep putting in 1, 2, 3, Donald, does it work? It doesn't work. The lock won't open. I say, are you putting in the combination? Yeah. 1, 2, 3. No, it's 3, 2, 1. Same thing. It's always people, product, and process. You don't have a hiring problem. You have a culture problem. And your culture is decided upon by your mindset. Same thing. Do you want to open up floodgates to marketing if you don't have a highly profitable menu? And to have a highly profitable menu, you need to understand your food cost. Every month, someone will call me and say, Donald, my food cost is 30%. Is that good? I'll say, I don't know. I'll say, what do you mean you don't know? I'll say, what's your theoretical food cost? I don't know. That's the problem. Theoretical food cost is called perfect world or ideal food cost. That's what happens when we cost out everything on our menu down to the penny. Actual food cost is usually what most restaurant owners do. And that's usually I take my invoices, divide by my sales, might put my inventory in there. That kind of tells me what my actual food cost is. Here's the thing. If your theoretical food cost, if that guy says my food cost 30%, and if I said, what's your theoretical? He said 28. I said, that's actually a really good food cost. But if his theoretical food cost is 21, he's got some work to do. The average restaurant in the United States has a gap between theoretical and actual food costs of 9%. Right there is usually, that's usually you get people to 5% right away. By just understanding that gap between theoretical and actual food costs and using some tools like the 40 Thieves of food costs to close the gap, you can usually add anywhere from 3 to 5% to your bottom line in the first 90 days. Right now, when I have all that menu kind of costed out, now I want to take that data and I want to build a highly profitable menu. When I have a highly profitable menu, then I want Luke and his team to do their magic and open up the floodgates and have all the people come running in. And then once we have that product part locked in, we need to protect it with process, systems, strategy, and profitability. The Accelerator program is step-by-step the most advanced thing on the planet. There is not a more comprehensive coaching program on the planet. I give you every video, every tool, every download, everything you need to have a highly successful restaurant. And what do I mean by highly successful? The average person in our restaurant, in our Accelerator program, now it dropped a little bit. It was 20.1% profit. It actually dropped to 19.8. But I'm going to say that's because eggs. No, I'm just joking. But the average profitability in our Accelerator program is 19.8 now. It was 20.1 for a long time, but it dropped down to 19.8. But still, when you look at the national average is only 5%, that's actually, we like blow away the national average. Why? Because the program works. If you follow the frameworks. I always say, if you want to win the game, you just got to follow the frame. So today's workshop is going to be taken from our extreme menu makeover thing. And here's the thing I want you all to realize. You all are like this. Every restaurant in the world is like a big bucket. And you want to fill this bucket with cash because you want cash, you want revenue, you want profits. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Your restaurant, if you're not at 18% or higher in profitability, you have what I call holes in your bucket. And the lower your profits are, the more holes you have in your bucket. The purpose of coaching is to plug these holes up. Because when we start plugging the holes in the bucket, now you start filling that bucket with revenue, with sales. Now your revenue streams start rising. That's where you start seeing these people go from 2 to 5 to 8, 10, 12, 15, 18%, 20%, and even higher because we start plugging up all the holes. That's what coaching does. It will start putting more money in your pocket by creating new habits, giving you new tools, new training, new coaching to fix this leaks you have that are all over the place. You've heard of that term, death by 1,000 paper cuts. Well, that's usually what most restaurant owners are doing. They're death by 1,000, 1,000 little holes in their bucket. So if you want more money, you must price your menu for profit. Nothing else matters. You need to price your menu for profit. You must price your menu for profitability. Hashtag write that shit down. So today we're going to talk about price like you mean it. Okay. Menu pricing isn't just about slapping a dollar amount next to a dish and hoping for the best. Hashtag write this down. Hope is not a strategy. It is a strategic, a psychological, it's a financial game that can actually determine whether your restaurant thrives or you barely survive. Most restaurant owners undervalue their products and leave so much money on the table. I mean, literally. I want you to think of menu pricing like, it's kind of like orchestrating a symphony. Each note, which is your price, must blend harmoniously with the others. That's your cost, your guest perceptions, your competitive landscape. And then what it does, it creates a kind of a melody that resonates with your audience. If you get the balance right, you create a masterpiece. If you get it wrong, you're left with a kind of discorded mess that confuses and actually alienates and drives guests away. They don't come back. So in this webinar, I'm going to show you how to transform your menu into a profit-generating machine. We're going to break down the psychology behind pricing. And we're going to talk about how it impacts food costs and how to make sure that you're charging what your food is worth without scaring the guest off. By the end of this webinar, you're going to have a battle-tested strategy for setting prices that actually drive revenue, increases profitability, and positions your restaurant as a powerhouse in the market. You ready to rock and roll? Let's do it. Make sure you have a piece of paper and a pen. It's where the good stuff happens. The big pricing mistake. The big pricing mistakes. Stop playing the low pricing game. So let's get one thing straight. Competing on price is a death sentence. Why? Because you become a commodity. You ever heard of the term red ocean, blue ocean? When you try to compete on price with everyone else in your market, you are a commodity. You are in the red ocean. You will be eaten alive. All right. I mean, imagine like you're a warrior going into battle, but instead of wielding a sword of quality and experience, you're going in with a wooden stick of low prices. And then you swing, but eventually, that bigger, stronger opponent, usually the corporate chains or the fast food giants, they crush you with their superior volume and resources. This means they have $1 billion marketing budget. If your only strategy is to be the cheapest option in town, you are setting yourself up for failure. I mean, the chains and the fast foods can afford those razor-thin margins because they make up for it in volume. Here's the thing, you can't. So instead of underpricing, charge for value. Your food, your ambiance, your service are not commodities. They are an experience. People will pay for a memorable dining experience if you position it correctly. All right. So let's talk about the danger of discounting, because I know everyone loves to get on the discounting game. All right. The discounting game is the worst thing you want to do. Right. Lower prices devalue your brand. I mean, why would you pay top dollar for a luxury watch if it was always on sale? Right? You train guests, and here's the problem, is that you train your guests to expect cheap prices. You ever notice how guests at fast food chains, they expect dollar deals? I mean, you don't want that expectation. And here's the thing, it's hard to raise prices later without some backlash. So if your guests are conditioned for a $10 steak, what happens when you bump it magically overnight to $15? I mean, you still have to cover your overhead, which doesn't go down just because you cut prices. You need to price with confidence, and you need to position your restaurant as a premium experience worth every penny. Okay. I mean, and here's the thing. I mean, Michelin star restaurants never apologize for their pricing. You shouldn't either. And you might say, well, Donald, I'm not a Michelin star restaurant. You need to think you're a Michelin star restaurant. I need you to start acting like you're a Michelin star restaurant. I need you to start having the confidence that you're a Michelin star restaurant. Right. Another thing we want to really dig into is understand the psychology of pricing. There's some really, really powerful. In Extreme Menu Makeover, the workshop, I give you, I think it's 8 hours. 8 hours. Yeah. And Luke's right. Welcome gifts or special LTOs in exchange for contact info are totally different, right? Totally different than just getting people, just constantly giving out discounts to keep the machine going. If it's a one-off, like a first time to get people into the game, yes, you want to do welcome gifts or special LTOs. Totally different. I'm just saying you don't want to be on the discount bandwagon all the time. Okay. That's what I'm saying. Don't want to be on it all the time. LTOs, get people in the door, get people to get their, because remember, data is gold. What I'm trying to get their data. I'm trying to get their email and their phone number if possible, so I can text message them. To do that, yeah, I'll give you a nice little deal to come in. But there's certain things we should do as deals that would really make it better for us. All right. The better thing is to understand the psychology of pricing. Anchoring is a really, really great tool. right? And what do I mean by anchoring? How to make the price feel just right. People judge prices relatively, not absolutely. Imagine you walk into a steakhouse and the first thing you see on the menu is a $90 Wagyu steak. Now, you might not order it, but suddenly, well, you know, that $45 ribeye looks like a great deal. That's called anchoring. And it's a really, really powerful psychological pricing strategy. How do we use anchoring? I have a high priced item near the top of each menu section. And then this does is it basically frames the other dishes to be more affordable in comparison. Here's the thing. Guests will still spend more than they would without an anchor price, okay? And there's another thing out there called charm pricing versus prestige pricing. Charm pricing, like $19.99 feels cheaper than $20 due to what called charm pricing. The trick is that you trick the brain into thinking it's a better deal. Whole numbers give that kind of premium effect. We call this prestige pricing. And I use this for like my high-end dishes, my high-end concepts. Casual spots, maybe I use odd pricing. Maybe fine dining, I stick to whole numbers. It depends on your concept. But you got to have a psychological plan in place. Another thing we want to talk about is this: the power of price placement. Hashtag write this down. And this is the most powerful one. Never use dollar signs. Why? It's a thing called semantic salience. Semantic salience is a psychological effect that we have an association with symbols. Dollar signs remind people they're spending money. Money equals pain for most people, just because they have this scarcity, lack, abundance mindset. And when they have that kind of mindset, every time I put a dollar sign out there, they're thinking of pain. You want to align your prices to the right side to let guests focus on the descriptions first. So instead of like a burger, dollar sign, $18, just say burger 18. Okay. And I always like to put the price after the description, not after the title. Why? Because there's kind of a flow to how I want people to read menus. And if I have like burger 18, they're not even going to read the descriptions because 18 might be above their budget. But say I say burger and I said, two 6-ounce seared patties with, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions, sesame bun, and I put 18 after that. That's a great way to do it. An Extreme Menu Makeover, I give you my step-by-step. We call it the Menu Bible. It's an 80-page workbook. It's everything I know about menu design. It's inside in your members area, if it's an accelerator program, an Extreme Menu Makeover. The Menu Bible is my step-by-step 80-page book about everything I've learned about menu design over the last 45 years. It is super powerful. Another thing you want to do is you want to calculate the right price, right? The right price is so powerful. Number one, you got to know your food costs. I've probably harped on this already. Know your food cost percentage, right? You got to know your theoretical food cost. That means I have to know what the cost is of everything is down to the penny. So let's say you sell a dish for $5, right? A dish costs you $5 to make, and you sell it for 15. Pretty easy. 5 divided by 15 times 100 is 33% food cost. Now, a good targeted food cost, anywhere from 22 to 32. Now, why do I say targeted? Because it all depends on your theoretical. You should be around 2% above theoretical. And here's the beautiful thing about every restaurant in the world. Every restaurant is unique. Every restaurant is unique. That's why you have to cost out everything down to the penny, right? So know your food cost percentage. If you do not know your food cost percentage, don't worry. In Accelerator program, I give you a step-by-step workshop called Food Cost Bootcamp. And in Food Cost Bootcamp, it's 8 hours that will take you down the rabbit hole of everything I know about food costing. And I will teach you how to understand that gap between theoretical and actual, and I'll give you some tools on how to close that gap down so you get that 2% above theoretical. Next step, after I know my food costing, I have to factor in kind of my overhead, and I want to actually start thinking about what kind of profit margin I want to make. So your menu price must cover more than just food cost. Consider this. You got labor, you got chefs, you got cooks, you got front of house, you got rent, you got utilities, you got marketing, you got advertising. You got profit margins, maybe, and you should always target 15 to 20% net profit. Now, for some of you that are below 5%, you're like, oh man, God, that would be so great. Yeah, well, let's plan for it. How do we plan for it is how we prepare. And how we prepare is how we perform. How we perform is how we get results. Fair enough? All right. Step 3, you got to use what it calls a multiplier method. The multiplier method is it's a simple thing, but if you've never really done menu costing before, it's a simple markup formula. So like a lot of times, like on wine, they usually say 2 to 4 times. So a lot of times I'll do 3x for lower food cost items like pastas or drinks. I'll do 3.5 to 4 for like moderate food cost items like 4, like burgers and entrees. And I'll do 2.5 for like my high cost food items. Like if I have seafood or steaks, I'll take whatever the cost is, I'll times it by 2.5, and that's usually what I can charge for it. That's a simple multiplier method. Now, is it 100% accurate? No, but at least get you in the ballpark. It's better than just guessing. Because so many people just like, it's like iPhones. You think Apple looked at his iPhone and go, hey, Luke, how much do you think we can get for this thing? I don't know. Someone says, I think we can get 500. All right, let's do 500. I think it might sell. And then they do the 500. And then what happens? And they realize, oh my God, we're losing money because it's cost us way more than that. That's why you have to know the costs first. You should never you should never price out a menu if you don't know the cost. Sin number 1, making a menu without knowing the cost. That is the number 1 sin. Okay. Another thing we want to do is use menu engineering. Menu engineering is that science. And I've talked about menu engineering over a lot of these workshops we've done, these webinars. I'm telling you, the thing about menu engineering is beautiful because it actually it steers the guest towards the most profitable items. How do we do it? First thing we do is we have to categorize our menu using a menu matrix, which we call as a stratification or a menu engineering worksheet. So in Extreme Menu Makeover, also in Food Cost Bootcamp, I'll give you a menu engineering worksheet. It's pretty simple. The menu engineering worksheet has formulas in there. All you have to do is enter 3 different numbers. You have to enter what the cost is of the plate. You have to enter in what the popularity is or how much you sell from your POS system. We call it a product mix report. And you have to put in there what you sell it for in the menu. The spreadsheet will do all the magic, and it'll tell you what the stratifications are. It'll tell you if it's a star, a puzzle, a plow horse, or a dog, right? Stars, again, stars are high profit, high popular. I want to feature these things prominently. I want to promote those things on social media. Puzzles. Oh, puzzles are the best thing in the world. Why? Because they're high profit, but they're just not popular yet. I need to reposition them. I need to rename them, or I need to promote them. Plow horses are the worst thing on your menu. Why? Because they're low profit, but sadly, people like them. So I either need to adjust the portion, the protein, or the price. Another thing you have to understand this too. Never, ever market a plow horse or a workhorse. Because what you're doing is just shooting yourself in the foot. You took an item that's already popular, that's not profitable, and you just promoted the shit out of it. That's stupid, right? Another thing I like to do is I do like maybe a little bit of strategic pricing moves. I like to bundle low-cost items. The fast food chains are experts at this. Bundle low-cost items like add fries and drinks for $5. Use decoy pricing. Decoy pricing is where I use, instead of saying like, maybe I use 35 versus 29. That's that kind of anchor approach, or we call it priming. I might use a high price thing, or I might use $25 for a tier category. And another thing I want to do is I want to make sure I want to feature my high margin dishes very, very prominently. Now, when you're looking at this menu engineering worksheet, you're going to see remember, 4 stratifications. The money is in the stars and the puzzles. Dogs are dogs. That means they don't make any money and no one likes them. You have to take them off your menu. All right, you have to take them off your menu. And do not replace them. Plow horses, again, they're very popular, but they're not profitable. Do not promote those things on social media. If I go to your Instagram feed right now, I will tell you right now, 95 out of 100 restaurants I look at on Instagram, They do not know the stratification of their menu items, and they promote them randomly, and they are doing more harm than good. You only want to promote your stars and your puzzles. Only thing you should be promoting on social media, stars and puzzles. That's it. All right. If you understand that, type in the chat, clear. I will only promote my stars and puzzles. Type in the chat, clear. I will not promote my plow horses, and I will get rid of my dogs. Okay. Clear, clear, clear. Perfect. Right. So how do we raise prices without losing guests? Well, there's a couple little tools we can do. And here's the thing you got to understand. Inflation is real. I mean, look at egg prices right now. Your costs will go up. And here's the thing. If you're not adjusting prices quarterly, you're losing money. Okay. You should have a plan in place every quarter. Review your menu and your pricing every quarter. This always shocks me when restaurants don't look at their menu enough. I'll have restaurants that have started with our coaching program, haven't changed their menu or their pricing in 4, 5, 7 years. Crazy. There's a psychological effect that happens when you don't raise your prices. There's a thing in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. It's called perception is projection. What does that mean? Perception is projection means if I think it's true for me. So if you don't raise your prices, let's say Luke has a restaurant, Luke's Burger Joint in Vegas on the Strip, brand new place, just opened up. I go to Luke's Burger Places, and Luke's been open for 5 years. And I notice Luke's never raised his prices. 2 things happen in my mind. 2 things. Number one, I think Luke's the nicest guy in the world because he hasn't raised his prices. Or the worst thing, I don't know how he's making it. He must be buying cheaper stuff because, man, he hasn't raised his prices in 5 years. He must be buying cheaper meat. He must be buying cheaper ingredients. He must be cutting corners. Is it true? No. But here's the problem. Perception is projection. If I think it's true for me. That's why you need to constantly raise your prices and raise your prices strategically and in small increments. It's so much easier to go from $50, $1 to $2 to have, like I haven't done my menu pricing in years. Now I have to make a $5 jump. It scares the shit out of everybody and you will lose guests. There's also improved perceived value. Like maybe I do better plating. Maybe I use higher quality descriptions. Maybe I use better marketing and I really showcase my stuff and I talk about my stuff descriptively and creatively. I use storytelling. Maybe I focus more on my high margin items instead of raising everything. And then I also eliminate those low margin items to make more space for the profitable ones. That means the dogs come off the menu. And then, of course, bundling is the number one thing you should all be doing, especially if you're any kind of casual market. Fries, add-ons, extra desserts, pre-fee menus, fixed price menus. These are all ways to package stuff for guests without just freaking them out. Okay. Another thing you want to do, and you want to do this religiously, is you need to upsell and train your team, right? Your servers, the way your servers present the menu, the way they talk about the menu, significantly influences their spending. I'll tell you right now, and this is a true study. This is a study from Cornell. Suggestive selling increases guest check average by 10 to 15% when done right. I do a workshop. It's in the accelerator program. It's called neuroselling. Neuroselling, I've done over, I think it's almost 600 workshops now. I've done 600 neuroselling workshops in my career in the last 15 years, 600 workshops. Of the restaurants that actually implement the neuroselling techniques I teach, they see an increase of 20% overnight. Okay. It's amazing. It's super powerful. And it uses psychology. It uses NLP, neuro-linguistic programming techniques. I'm certified in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. And I created this program years and years ago to help my restaurant actually. And since it's actually developed and morphed and turned into this powerful, powerful system. It's called the neuroselling system. Super, super powerful. So like instead of asking, would you like an appetizer? You might maybe say, hey, our house-made burrata is our guest favorite. It's rich, creamy, served with warm grilled sourdough. Should I bring you one to start with? Instead of saying like, what can I get you? Would you like to start with an appetizer? There's a big difference. How you say something is so powerful. But here's the thing. The team won't know how to do it unless you do the number one thing you have to do, role play. You have to teach them how to talk to the guest. You have to teach them how to describe things to the guest. You got to teach them how to create cravings. You got to encourage your team to use descriptive storytelling. They have to paint a visual picture of the dish. Because when the guest can imagine the flavors, textures, and experience, I'm telling you, they're far more likely to order it. The other thing you want to do, when we talk about this in Extreme Menu Makeover, is the layout and design. Your menu layout should guide the guests towards your high margin items. How do we do that? We use some really, really good psychology. There's a thing out there in the psychology world for menus called the golden triangle. The golden triangle means that people naturally follow kind of this Z pattern when you're scanning a menu. It's kind of like a triangle. They go right, then they go left, then they go center. If I place my most profitable items in that golden triangle, I'm going to sell a lot more of my highly profitable items. Another thing I like to do is I like to use boxes and I like to use highlights. You know, maybe I'll use an icon or an emoji, or I'll use an arrow, or I'll use a bold font, or I'll use a different color. I have lots of psychological tools I can do to drive people's eyes to the items I want them to buy. And if I can get you to look at it for an extra second, I have a chance for you to buy it. And if I can get you to buy it, it's going to put more money in my pocket. And another thing, use really, really great descriptive stuff. Again, in Extreme Menu Makeover, we go through a menu writing workshop. I talk about all the different ways to write menus. We talk about the different psychological elements. We talk about some different tools. I give you some different examples on how to write menus that actually sell better. A simple example is like, pan-seared Chilean sea bass sounds a hell of a lot better than grilled fish. And then another thing, limit choice overload. There's a thing in psychology called paradox of choice. Too many options causes decision fatigue and also, sadly, lower spending. You want to aim for 6 to 8 options per category. For some of you, that's going to be like, you're sitting right now going, oh my God, I don't know if I could do that. Yeah, you need to do that. All right, you need to cut that sucker down. This golden triangle is super, super powerful. It looks like this, right? There's like that center spot. And then I basically put stuff, anything that's inside that golden triangle is prime real estate. And I want to put my most profitable items in that center of that golden triangle. That's where I want to put stuff at, because that's going to make me the money. Another thing we don't ever think about, but we need to think about and talk about is beverage pricing. Beverages is where the real money lies. That's where the profits are. Drinks are profit powerhouses. Your margins on alcohol, soft drinks, and coffee, it's a hell of a lot higher than food cost. So here's the question. Why aren't you maximizing it? Right? How do you price your beverage menu for maximum profit? Number one, liquor. Markup should be 4 to 5 times the cost. Easy. Wine, aimed for 3 to 4 times the markup. Offering wine by the glass at 1/3 the bottle price to encourage upgrades. Beer, draft beer should have a 3x markup, while bottled beer usually 2 to 2.5, depending on the beer. And then non-alcoholic drinks, oh my God. Insane high margins. Sodas cost cents per serving, yet restaurants can charge anywhere from $3 to $5. Have you ever gone into a restaurant and questioned the price of a soft drink? I've been going to restaurants my whole life. I've never, ever questioned the price of a soft drink. Never, ever. And then make sure that you're encouraging premium drink selections. The guest who orders the basic margarita, they should always suggest an upgrade for tequila, upgrade for, something complement. You want to make sure you're making those upgrades. Small increases stack up fast. Another thing you have to take into account is your seasonal pricing or LTOs. Luke mentioned this earlier. I like to create urgency with my LTOs, and it's called an LTO for one reason. It's a limited time offer. If it's available all the time, it's not an LTO. All right. Seasonal and limited offers, LTOs, they drive excitement. They drive urgency, and they also drive higher check averages. Why? Because people hate missing out. It's called FOMO. I mean, think about Starbucks pumpkin spice latte. Oh my God. Every fall, it comes back, full blown fever, creates a frenzy. Everyone's ready for pumpkin spice everything. But here's the thing, your restaurant can use the same principles, right? Some good examples of some LTO strategies: a summer seafood boil that maybe features fresh seasonal ingredients, maybe a holiday pre-fee menu, fixed price menu that offers maybe a curated experience at a premium price. Maybe you have weekly chef specials or features that showcase creativity while using high margin items. And the other thing you want to do is you want to use pricing for demand. When an item is in high demand, raise the price. Write that shit down. If an item is very popular, high demand, raise the price. If a guest rave about a dish, test a 10 to 15% price increase. You're going to be surprised how little resistance you get. The number one thing, which I remember in that very second slide I showed you, the 3P framework, people, product, process, and the people part, the very first part of people's mindset. I'll tell you right now, the biggest thing holding your restaurant back is your mindset and your belief systems. You know, oh, if I raise my prices, I'll lose guests. No, you won't. Not if you do it right, you won't. Yeah, you jack up everything $10, yeah, you'll lose guests. If you do it strategically, you won't lose guests. And here's the thing, most of them won't even notice. Okay. Another thing you just think about is dynamic pricing. This is a really, really cool thing. Charge more when it makes sense. I mean, the hotels and the airlines do this all the time. They adjust pricing based on demand. Why shouldn't restaurants? I like to do what's known as surge pricing for peak hours. So maybe it's Friday and Saturday, the place is packed. I might increase prices slightly for primetime reservations. This especially is for my pre-fee menus, chef tasting menus, premium seating. I used to run at my restaurants. I used to have a chef tasting menu. I ran only on Friday and Saturday. So it was an LTO, limited time offer, and it was a premium price. Right? My restaurant average menu prices was $45. My chef's tasting menu, this is back in the 90s, remember, in Michigan. I ran a chef tasting menu in the 90s for $80. And then if you want a wine pairing with it, it was another $25 on top of it. And I sold out every Friday and Saturday because I only did one seating, super high end, super exclusive, and it went crazy and people paid for it. Now, I tried running the chef table all week long and it bombed because, again, if I made it every day common, it lost its stigma. It lost its uniqueness. It lost its kind of really, really fun stuff. Now, you do this right now with happy hour and early bird specials, but instead of discounting all night, reward early guests maybe with a slight discount, but keeping primetime prices intact. Happy hour. Here's my number one rule in happy hour, and write this shit down. Never, ever take a regular menu item on your menu and make it a discounted price for happy hour. Stupidest thing in the world. Why? Because you just trained me that that item is not worth the full price. I see this all the time. Restaurants have calamari on the menu, $16. And then at happy hour, they offer calamari, $8. Same portion, half price. You've just trained me that your calamari is not worth $16. Now it's only worth $8. Why the hell would I come in at 8 o'clock at night and buy calamari at full price? You've just trained me. Your happy hour menu should be special items that are only available for happy hour. And trust me, you have enough ingredients in your restaurant that if you're creative enough, you can come up with 5, 6, 7 items. I like to do like maybe a 5 for $5 or a 5 for $7 or a 5 for $8. So I have 5 items for $8 that are available in my happy hour. They're unique items that are only available during that happy hour. So that drives that LTO crowd, also drives that FOMO crowd, also drives that price conscious crowd. Never, ever, 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 ever discount your regular menu for happy hour. Please promise me. Type in the chat, promise. I will not sell my regular items half price for happy hour, Donald. I promise. Type in promise. I promise. Clear, clear, clear. Perfect. Yes. Yeah. I used to have a pre-theater menu too. So like there was like a local Playhouse next to my restaurant. I used to offer a pre-theater menu, and I really would push people in for that pre-theater crowd. If you go to New York and Manhattan, all the restaurants close to Broadway all offer a pre-theater menu. They're really, really great deals. Usually it's like a 3-course meal. It's a good price. They get you in, they get you out before the show. It's really awesome. Another thing you want to tap into is maybe that late night crowd. We call this reverse happy hour, maybe that late night offering, or maybe a late night cocktail menu with very, very unique high margin drinks. There's a couple places in Chicago I love to send friends to. One's called Arabelle. Arabelle has a really, really great late night cocktail menu. It's not cheap, but I'm telling you, they're really, really unique signature items. And they go really crazy, like the foam and the smoke, and really make a show out of it. It's really, really fun. Okay. Another thing you want to do is you want to track your pricing. You got to track this stuff to see where it's going. We always use what's known as a data-driven approach. I'm always monitoring my sales data. If you're not analyzing your sales report, if you don't know what your pricing is, your theoretical food cost is, you are pricing blind. You want to regularly review your POS report and see which dishes sell the most, which are my stars, which dishes have the highest food cost below sales, the dogs. Are guests upgrading their drinks, or are they sticking to basic house pours? That might be 2 options. That might be, my guest is not educated enough, or my team's not offering an upgrade. All right. I love to constantly review what my team is selling, what they're not selling. And I use that as trading tools. I'll give you a great example. I had a server at my restaurant, and I was looking at the data reports and looking at her sales report. And I noticed she sold a lot of wine by the glass, but she didn't sell a lot of bottles of wine. And I asked her one time, I said, why? I noticed you sell a lot of wine by the glass, but you don't sell a lot of bottles of wine. Why not? She was really, really honest. She says, well, I had one experience where I sold a bottle of wine at the table and the cork broke. And I was so embarrassed that I was just afraid to sell wine again because I didn't want to have a cork break at me at the table. It was just so embarrassing. All right, that's an easy fix. Let's get some bottles. Let's get some corks. Let's pop some, let's put the corks in the bottles. Let's get your wine key out and let's practice opening a couple 50, 75 bottles until you feel comfortable again. And sure enough, I got her comfortable opening wine again. And what do you think happened on her sales report? She started selling wine by the bottle. That just goes from looking at the data, asking better questions, and then creating a training program to help these people. Okay. If an item isn't selling, it either needs a couple things. It needs a better description, it needs a better placement on the menu, or maybe a price adjustment, or just better promotion. And promoting in 2 ways. You're either promoting online in your marketing, or your team's promoting in-house by talking about it at the table. Another thing I love to do is I love to get guest feedback. So many people are afraid of guest feedback. Guest feedback is the most powerful tool you have. All right. Your servers are a gold mine of pricing feedback. You need to encourage them and ask them, which price point triggers hesitations from the guest? What menu items get rave reviews? Are guests sharing meals to save money? I mean, that's a sign that the portions might be too big, or maybe the price is too high. Or you're just in Florida. You're in Florida and you got the retirement crowd that's on a fixed income. Either way. Okay. Is this all making sense to you? Yes, yes, yes. Sean said, how do you price an item that fluctuates weekly? Well, if it fluctuates weekly, I mean, I'm going to kind of price it accordingly. Now, if I know it's going to be a radical stuff like up and down, up and down, up and down all the time, I might put on the thing. And avocados do this every once in a while. I might put on there, especially, I might change the price off and just put market. That way I can adjust the pricing as I need to. It's like you go to a restaurant, lobster, you never see a price for lobster. Lobster always says market. I've actually seen some Mexican restaurants in the United States take guacamole and take the price off and just put market. Right? Here's the thing I know about market price. If I want it, I'll pay for it. I don't care what the price is. Okay. Does that make sense, Sean? Yeah. A lot of times I'll just take that and I'll just put market on there. MKT. That helps a lot too. Because then you don't have to go around like worrying about having to reprint menus every 2 weeks. Like, oh shit, avocados went through the roof. Now I go, dude, pull all the menus. Let's reprint them all. Change the price. $5. Let's go. No. So yeah, that takes away a lot of that pain. Okay. Key takeaways from today. Write these down. These are the gold nuggets right here. Stop underpricing. You are not a discount brand. I want you to write that somewhere where you can read that. You are not a discount brand. Use psychology, anchoring, charm pricing, smart menu design. It influences decisions. Right? In the Extreme Menu Makeover, again, I give you my menu Bible, 80 pages of everything I know about menu psychology, about pricing, about market demand. You're going to get like a deep dive into psychology, marketing, positioning, pricing. It's really, really cool. Maximize your beverage profits. Your drinks are your highest margin items. You need to treat them that way. Implement dynamic pricing. Charge more when demand is high. And then track performance. Data tells you what to keep, what to adjust, what to remove. That never fails. It does. It gives you everything, a step-by-step playbook. Data drives decisions. Write that shit down. Right? Your own worth, your own profits. Most successful restaurants don't just survive. They thrive because they price with purpose. Right? You don't want to survive. You want to thrive. And to do that, you need to price with purpose. Pricing isn't about gouging your guests. Let's get that clear. It's about understanding your worth. It's about delivering incredible value and making sure your restaurant is profitable enough to keep delivering that experience year after year after year. Here's the thing. Come on. You've worked too hard to let pricing mistakes drain your profits. Start implementing the stuff we talked about today, these strategies today, refine them as you go, and then watch your restaurant become a financial powerhouse that was meant to be. Your next move, you need to audit your menu this week. Find the pricing gaps and start charging what your food is worth. Price like you mean it. And when you price like you mean it, you will watch your profits soar. Now, for the last 13 years, my coaching programs have helped over 3,000 restaurant owners just like yours. Why? Because coaching provides two critical elements. I give you new tools, trust me, you need new tools, and you need accountability. It's like going to the gym. I can go to the gym and work out, but if I hire a trainer, I get better results because he's there to help me kind of adjust. He'll help me dial in my diet. He'll help me work on my form. He'll help me tweak stuff. He'll push me. He'll hold me accountable. It's so much better. I'll tell you, my fitness goals have come to life because I hired a coach the last 8 months, and he really helped me dial it in. Now, here's the thing. Don't just take my word for it, right? All our clients get results. Greg added 12% to his bottom line in just 2 months by following the TRC method. Brian had his most profitable year. Last year was his most profitable year. 28% profitability from following the TRC method. Fatima says that Accelerator program is the most comprehensive coaching program out there. It gives you everything you need. Every video, every download, everything you need to be highly successful. Joey has a steakhouse. Joey went from breaking even. And basically he was actually losing money when he started. And then he's now making 14% profit. Right? Callie and Nick, they went from struggling to they started dialing this system in. They got their second restaurant open, took off really great because they had all the habits in place, all the tools in place. And now they're actually looking at their third location. And then Juan, who's actually in our coaching program right now, the Accelerator 2.0, she went from breaking even to 25.2% profit in 6 months. It can be done. Breaking even to 25% profit in just 6 months. Would you guys like that? I mean, would that be nice for you to go from where you are now to making 25% profit in 6 months? I mean, that would be awesome. And here's the thing. What do all those restaurants have in common? Well, they all took action and signed up for the Accelerator program. The Accelerator program is step-by-step the most comprehensive program on the planet. I will give you every tool you need, every download, every video I have in my library. You will have access to tons and tons of material. You're also going to get access to one of my hand-selected certified restaurant coaches that's going to hold you accountable. It's over 200 hours of videos, 380 downloads, plus you're going to have 3 group calls a week. You have a Tuesday accelerator call with me, a group call. You have the Wednesday webinar, which you're on right now. You have a Thursday Q&A call with me and my team where you can ask us any questions, and you have a one-on-one coaching call. It's more coaching than anyone offers. Why? Because I want you to get results. I want you to be successful. Right? We make it really easy for you. All you gotta do is just reach out to someone on the team. Luke will probably drop a chat in the chat for you. Just speak to somebody. If you have any questions, I love to answer any questions you have. We open the floor up. You can either ask them in the chat, or I know there's a button on the webinar. You can actually go in the webinar button, and there's a Q&A button there too. You can ask your question in Q&A. Either or. Luke and I love questions. We love the Q&A part. We love Q&As.
This is a solid one, Donald. Thank you so much.
That's a good one. I love this one. This is solid.
Yeah. Very applicable and quickly.
Very.
Yeah, guys, if you don't have, if you're not in the coaching program and you want a restaurant profit coach, you could just toss your email address in the chat box, and I'll have somebody from my team reach out to you and have a conversation and see if it makes sense.
Yeah, it might not make sense for you right now. And here's the thing. We're not going to put you into a box that you don't need to be in. Luke and I are very on the same page about this.
100%. Yeah, so if you guys are interested or just want more info, just put your email on the chat box, and then I will we'll set you guys up with a quick call.
Perfect. I want to say thanks for being here today. Thank you for showing up. Thanks for taking notes. Thank you for, I mean, we love doing these webinars every Wednesday. It's one of my highlights of the week is the Wednesday webinar. So I look forward to getting here with you guys every week, every Wednesday. And if you have any questions for me, I know everyone's on the Slack channel. I think Slack had a problem this morning, but I think it's back up. If you have any questions for me, I'm in the Slack channel in the webinar community. You can always reach out to me and ask me questions directly too. I'm here to help you. All right. We just want you to be successful. That's what Luke and I just dream of. We want you to have a 20% plus profit restaurant. Because when you're making that kind of money, trust me, you're going to market more, which means you're going to spend more money with marketing, which means you're going to help Luke's team out more. It all works for everybody. We want you to be successful. We want you to be highly profitable. We do.
Yeah, and if you guys have not joined the Slack channel yet, we've got a private Slack channel where you guys can ask any question that you want. A bunch of restaurant owners in there. So
yeah, it's great.
Put a link in the chat box, guys. If you haven't joined that yet, just snatch that link and then you'll get on there.
Let me tell you right now too, is one of the problems with restaurant owners is you think you have to go this alone. You don't. The Slack channel is a great, just a great place to start right there. Just jump in the Slack channel with the webinar community and just get to not ask people questions. You'd be shocked how many people have the same problems you have, or have some good information like, hey, I'm looking for a new POS system. What do you recommend? I'm looking at this and this one, and you'll get tons of stuff. Hey, I'm looking at using Margins Edge. What do you think? Hey, I'm looking about using XtraChef. What do you think? Hey, I want to run some discounts. What do you guys think? It's a great place to ask questions and get answers. I'm in there. I know my coaches are in there. I have 2 coaches, Michael and Ali. Both those guys monitor the Slack channels too. Right? Oh, it says the link's not good. Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, I'm checking it right now.
We're checking it. Here's the beautiful thing about technology. It's great when it works. When it doesn't work, it sucks, right?
Yeah, it must be a Slack thing. Slack is
Slack was messed up this morning. I tried to send a message out this morning, and I got like an error. I think Jenna sent an email out earlier that Slack was down.
Yeah.
It might still be down.
Yeah, they were down worldwide for a while.
Yeah. That's weird. Which because that never happens. Hey.
But yeah, back to your point about the just not doing it alone.
Yeah, yeah,
I think that's especially relevant for um, restaurant owners who have no business partner, and it's just like
yeah, yeah,
they're operating their business solo.
yeah.
Um,
It sucks.
you know,
Trust me, I
that's
was there.
such a
Trust it sucked.
disadvantage.
It
Yeah.
sucks. Trust me, that was me. And I felt I had to take all the weight, all the pressure, everything like that. Let us help you. Please let us help you. Reach out to us. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got support here. So
Yeah, we're here to
uh,
help you. We want you to be successful. Trust me, if you're successful, then we'll be successful. That's all that matters to us. We want you to be successful. Number one thing in our like my every year I pick a word, a driving word for my year. My word for 2025 is results. And my goal is I want to get every restaurant I have interaction with to get results. That's my goal. That's my big goal for 2025. My driving word this year is results. Whatever I need to do to get you there, I will do it. All right. Well, thank you so much for showing up today. Have a fantastic day. If we can help you out, let us know.
thanks, guys. Thanks for coming on.